So let's move on to the next question, guys. In this question, we are given that there is some triangle whose area is given to be 50, right? And we have to compare the perimeter of the triangle and 30. So this is a little like logical question. If you go and directly solve it, you won't be able to solve it very easily because it is not actually solvable that way. So we have to use a little bit of logic over here. That first of all, tell me one thing. If we have a triangle, right, then the largest possible area for that triangle can be in the form of an equilateral triangle, right? For example, tell me one thing. There is a rectangle, right? And there is a square. So basically, a rectangle is a square only, right? I mean, a rectangle is a subset of a square. So whenever we have to find the maximum area, we always do it in the form of a square. If we have rectangle and square as two options, right? Similarly, whenever we have a triangle, then if we want to maximize the area of a triangle, we will always consider an equilateral triangle. I hope this should be fine. What is an equilateral triangle? An equilateral triangle is obviously a triangle with all sides equal. So whenever we want to maximize the area, we will always consider an equilateral triangle, right? So let's assume in this question that we have an equilateral triangle, right? So for example, we have an equilateral triangle and we consider its perimeter to be 30, right? So we have an equilateral triangle, right? And the perimeter is 30. Let's assume things right now for 1 second. So if the perimeter is 30, then what will be the side of the equilateral triangle? Obviously it will be 10, right? The side will be 10 because three sides, all sides are equal. If one side is 10, the sum of three sides will be how much? 30, right? So the side comes out to be 10, right? Now tell me, what is the area of an equilateral triangle? The area of an equilateral triangle is root 3a square upon 4, right? So area is how much? Root 3a square upon 4. I'm talking right now everything for equilateral triangle, right? So what is this? Root 3 upon 4 into, what is a square? A is side. So side is 10. So that means 10 into 10, 100. So 425. So this comes out to be 25 root 3, right? And root 3 is, for example, 1.7 something, whatever. But the point is that 25 root 3, this value is less than what? Is less than 50. This value is less than 50, right? This value is less than 50. Okay. Now, why did we do all of this? Because it is given in the question that the area of triangle is 50, right? Now tell me one thing. If the perimeter is 30, right? Then what can be the maximum area of the triangle? For example, there is any random triangle whose perimeter is 30. Then there can be different areas for the triangle, right? For example, if this is one triangle in which, for example, this side is 4, this side is, let's, this side is 11, this side is 9, this side is 10. One possible case, right? Other possible case is 10, 10, 10, right? Another possible case is, for example, 12, then you have 8 with you, and then you have 10, for example, right? So there can be multiple possible cases where the perimeter is 30 and a triangle can have different areas, right? But I want to know what is the maximum area of the triangle if the perimeter is 30. That is only possible in the case of equilateral triangle, right? So if the perimeter is 30, then what can be the maximum area of the triangle? The maximum area of the triangle in that case can be 25 root 3, which is in the case of equilateral triangle, right? And 25 root 3 is less than 50 because if you calculate, it will come to be less than 50. That means that if we want to have the area 50, we should definitely have the perimeter greater than 30, right? Because if we have perimeter 30, the maximum area we have is how much? 25 root 3, which is less than 50. If we have the perimeter less than 30, then definitely the area will even be smaller than 50. But because we want the area to be 50, that means the perimeter needs to be greater than 30. Because if it is 30, the maximum area is this, which is less than 50, which is wrong according to the given condition, because the condition is that the area needs to be 50. So if the area needs to be 50, then in that case, the perimeter has to be greater than 30. I hope this makes sense, right? This means that this part is greater than 30, because perimeter can be 32, 33, 35, I don't care. But we know one thing, that it needs to be greater than 30, right? So that means this part is greater than this. That is why your answer becomes A. So I hope this should be pretty clear. This is not a question that you can solve by taking the side as x and then solving it. You won't be able to solve it. So you have to solve it using some basic common sense, that if you have any triangle, the maximum possible area is that of an equilateral triangle, right? So then we assume that, let's assume the perimeter is 30. We find the area of the triangle, which comes out to be less than 50. That means the perimeter needs to be greater than 30 if we want the area to be 50. I hope this is clear.